What is going on? Hopefully you're having a great Sabbath day today. Spend some time with the family, talk with the Father, recognize the King. We'll make it quick. I'm not going to go through a whole thing here. Did have a busy week this past week, but I kind of wanted to talk about one thing. As I was kind of thinking about some things throughout the week. And this thing to me is really important. To kind of understand the context of what happens, really, probably one of the foundational things in the Bible. And I guess we'll just talk about it. But yeah, I did have a good week. Cousin got married. Had Thanksgiving basically 4 out of the 5 days during the week. Man, it was a busy week. Had a lot of food. Definitely need the fast going right now because there was a lot. There was a lot. So, all right, let's take a look at this, and I'm going to kind of show why I think this is a really important thing to understand. Excuse me. So this is, there we go. From First Judges. Or Judges 1, and this is going to be roughly verses 27 through 36 through the end of the chapter here. And I know a lot of these section kind of titles, they can be kind of deceiving in many of these literatures. They can be pretty deceptive, so be very careful about them. And this one is pretty good. It's a pretty spot on. I kind of like it. Incomplete conquest of the land. This is when the Israelites are basically coming into the land. Now, if you're not aware of what's happened before this part in the Bible, I mean, we're at Judges, the very beginning of Judges, right? And so all of this has already happened. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua. So this is the part basically where in like Deuteronomy and Joshua, they had started to go into the land and that kind of stuff. So what's important about that is they are sent into the land to take it from the Canaanites, because the Canaanites are doing crazy, just crazy things, sins and all kinds of things. But if you are not aware of who the Canaanites are, you really should read the beginning parts of the Bible, because you will see what they believe and what is going on, and then you will see from this point on, this is going to be a very critical part, because once you understand that the Israelites do not get rid of them, and that's what this section basically says here, is the Israelites, as they came into the land, they were told to wipe them out by the Lord, but they don't wipe them out. Not completely. And so that leads to much of the corruption of the Israelites later throughout the rest of the Bible, which then leads to the Messiah coming. So you need to really understand that the people that had the beliefs in the beginning part of the Bible that the Lord said go wipe them out, well, they aren't done away with. They are not ended. And that should let you know, oh, they are out there somewhere. And if you don't understand who and where they are, you better start looking. My guess would be you probably align with them more than you probably realize. And you need to really dig and try to figure that out. So let's read through a few of these sections. So Manasseh, when he took over, or when the tribe of Manasseh went into their land, they did not drive out the inhabitants of Beth Shin and its villages, or Tanach, and its villages, or the inhabitants of Dor and its villages, or the inhabitants of Ibleam and its villages, or the inhabitants of Megiddo and its villages. For the Canaanites were determined to dwell in the land. So there you go. Canaanites stayed in the land. And it came to pass when Israel was strong that they put the Canaanites under tribute and did not completely drive them out. Okay, so Manasseh right there clearly saying did not drive them out. Nor did Ephraim drive out the Canaanites who dwell in Gezer, so the Canaanites dwell in Gezer among them. Nor did Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Kitron, or the inhabitants of Nahol, so the Canaanites dwell among them and were put under tribute. Nor did Asher drive out the inhabitants of Echo and inhabitants of Sidon, or of Alab, Okeb, Helba, Aphek, or Rehob. So the Asherites dwell among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land, for they did not drive them out. Nor did Naphtali drive out the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh, or the inhabitants of Beth Anath. But they dwell among the Canaanites and the inhabitants of the land. The inhabitants of Beth Shemesh and Beth Anath were put under tribute to them. And the Amorites forced the children of Dan into the mountains. And for you that don't understand the Amorites are part of the Canaanites. Okay, and the Amorites forced the children of Dan, and Dan is a member of the Israelites of the mountains, for they would not allow them to come to the valley. And the Amorites were determined to dwell in Mount Heres, in Ejolan, and in Shalbim. Yet the strength of the house of Joseph became clear. They were put under tribute. Now the boundary of the Amorites was from ascent of Akrib, from Selah and upward. Okay, so that's the base of the rest of the chapter. But you can see many of the peoples of the tribes, Manasseh, Ephraim, Zebulun, Asher, Naphtali, and Dan, they did not drive out the Canaanites. So you need to understand that though the Lord instructed the Israelites as they went and took into the land to wipe them out because of all the blasphemy that they were doing. And I'm not going to go through all what they were doing. You should read the Bible. And I have emphasized this all the time. Stay out of the buildings. They call themselves churches. And read the Bible. Read the Bible. But this is clearly showing that the Canaanites, were not done away with. They are still out there. Very much their practices. All you got to do is follow the practices that are laid out in the beginning parts of the Old Testament. You absolutely need to know this and understand they are not gone. And once you understand and you spot them in the real world, Bible makes a lot more sense. The Bible will start to make a lot more sense. Now, going forward from here on in the Bible, Israelites take over the land, but obviously they don't get rid of the previous inhabitants, and therefore they get corrupted. They do things of what the previous inhabitants of the land did, as the Lord said, get rid of them or they will corrupt you. And that basically is what happened. They got corrupted. So be on the lookout. If you are unaware, be on the lookout. Be looking for them. They're out there. They are going to deceive you because that's all they can do. Because once you know who they are, and then you understand the history, it makes perfect sense. So, yeah, make sure you really understand that the Canaanites and what they represent are not fully done away with when the Israelites came into the land. And they are still out there. They corrupted the Israelites. And this is one reason why the Messiah, Jesus Christ, comes. It's because the Israelites get corrupted so badly. They don't even recognize the Messiah that their own texts even said this is how he would come. You've got to understand some of these sections are crucial, and this is a very, very important section towards the end of Judges 1. Okay? So that's really all I kind of wanted to kind of go through this week. I just understand that what the Canaanites represent, and they are not done away with. So have a great Sabbath day. Make sure you talk to the Father. And just spend some time with the family. I'm sure many of y'all are still on maybe Thanksgiving, maybe together with the families and stuff still. So make sure you really kind of talk with the family and enjoy your time. But make sure that you can talk about these things with your family. If you can't talk about it with your family, then what can y'all talk about? So I think y'all will have a great Sabbath day, and just have a great Sabbath day. Talk to y'all next week. Amen.